So make sure you're taking your notes right now. So one more time, input is domain, is your X. It's what goes into the function. Output is your range, it's your Y values. That's what comes out of a function. A function is a relation that for every element in the domain, there's exactly one in the range. Okay, so what that means is there can't be two of the same inputs, can't have two of the same X's, and it has to pass the vertical line test. Those actually mean the same thing. So if you have a graph, it's easier just to do a vertical line test. If it's listed in ordered pairs or listed by domain and range, it's easier just to look for if there's the same X's. And functions can be written different ways. It can be written as ordered pairs, as tables, like your XY chart, as a mapping, and as graphs. So this is worksheet. It's called function review worksheet. So people that are, you have to remember, so it's going to kind of double up for you guys. So you guys have paper copy in front of you, but it's also on Google Classroom because people are still at home. You know, there's some distance learners. So you got to remember that that's why it looks funny. And then that way they can submit it to me. If they were gone that day, I put it as assignment so they can attach it. Okay, so here we go. It says, when is a relation a function? What are some ways to tell if it's a function? Those are those two main things that we talked about from a function. It has to pass the vertical line test. That's one way. That's if we have a graph. Or we cannot have two of the same X's. Can't have two of the same inputs, can't have two of the same X's. Okay. Either way. So if you have a graph, it has to pass that vertical line test. Otherwise, you can't have two of the same inputs. Okay. Number 2, it says, what is the domain? Domain is my input, which is my X. So I'm going to put domain as X. Okay. And then it says, what is my range? Well, my range is my Y. And then it says, given a member of the domain, so they give you an X, how would you find that Y? And you guys literally do this all the time without even thinking. You plug in your X and solve. And you guys are so good at doing it, you don't even know you do it. I give you an X, you automatically plug it in that equation, and you tell me what the answer is. Okay. Let's look at 3. It says if f of x is, now remember f of x, so f parenthesis x, so f of x. Here. You're welcome. Okay, so that means f of x, not f times x. Okay, so that's function notation. And f of x with that parenthesis is just a fancy way to say y. Okay, so if you ever see an f of x, you can actually just think of it as a y. So this is function notation right here. It says equals this equation. This is what you need to worry about. Okay, now for A, it says find f of 3. So that means I need to put in a 3 for every x I see and solve. So -4 times 3 minus 7. And then I'm going to keep solving that. What is -4 times 3? -12, yep. So I have -12 minus 7, which is what? -12 minus 7. -19, right? You owe me $12, you borrow another 7 from me. You better owe me 19. So A, I know, but we're not that good of friends, right? You don't need to just pay me $5, you need to pay me 19. All right, so A, the answer is negative 19. Okay, B, we're gonna put in that negative 7 wherever we see that X. So we have negative 4 times negative 7 minus 7. A negative 4 times a negative 7 is 28. 28 minus 7, 21. So each one of these will be like a point. We'll grade them separately. So you have negative 19 and then you have 21. Okay, you're doing the same idea on 4. You're going to plug in that negative 4 for wherever you see an X. And then you're going to plug in that 0, which is super easy. You probably actually just solve that right now. Okay, 5 through 8, that's when you use that vertical line test. Okay, remember vertical line is a straight line up and down. I always say like use your pencil as your vertical line. This graph that's graphed, like on shown, can only hit my vertical line once at every point through the whole graph. Okay, so if I go through here, it's only hitting at one point, only hitting at one point through the entire graph. If it only hits at one point through the entire graph, then you're good that this is a function. So you can either just write yes, or you can write function, or yes, it is a function. I don't care how you word that. Okay. So looking at number 6, if I take this vertical line through the entire graph, do I only hit it at one place every time? Yes. So this one's good too. Really shouldn't have moved my paper. Okay. Number 7 though, let's look. Oh no, I'm hitting here and here. I'm hitting here and here. I'm hitting here and here. That's not good. Okay. So is that a function? No. You can either say not function or you can say no, however you want to read that. So looking at number 8, do you think that's a function or not a function? No, that's not a function, right? Okay, and just to like go one step further, remember I said you can't have two of the same x's, or you can't pass the vertical line test, so you have to pass the vertical line test. Vertical line test, so like right here, let's say those 2 points. Well, that's at 1, 2, and this is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 6. What do you see here? They both have what? 1s for the x's. Their x's were the same. So when I say you can't have 2 of the same x's and I'm passing the vertical line test, that's the same thing. Okay, because that failed right there. Okay, let's look at 9 and 10. This is the letter D. So if it doesn't look nice on yours, fix it. It's giving us a domain and we have to find the range. Remember, domain is our x's, our inputs. So we have to find all the outputs for every input they give us. Well, they give us a negative 12. That means I'm going to plug that in for my x and solve. So it's negative 7 times negative 12 plus 3. And I'm going to keep solving that. Well, what's a negative 7 times a negative 12? You can use a calculator too. 84, yeah? No? Yeah? Okay. So I have 84 plus 3, which is what? 87. So my first answer is 87. When I put in negative 12, I got out 87. Input, output. Now I got to put in that negative 4 for my x. Okay, then I have to put in the 3. Then I have to put in the 20. Understand what I'm asking for? Okay. Same thing on 10. And then let's look at the backside. Do a lot of the same things you did before. If you can't see this, this is a line right here. Nice horizontal line. If you can't see it, draw it back in better. This one didn't copy very nice. Just a little swoop-de-doo. 13 through 16 is just vertical line tests. Yes or no's. Okay. 17, 18, 19, and 20 are plugging in those numbers. So like 17 has 3 different problems here. Plugging in 0, plugging in 4, plugging in negative 1, answer it for that. Okay. 19, same idea. Remember, this is the letter D, domain. We're going to plug in that negative 2, that negative 1, that 0, that 5. And you are more than welcome to plug it in on your calculator. Thing is with your calculator, a lot of times, I always say be careful with it. What you need to do is if you're gonna type the entire thing in, you have to put in your parentheses. Okay? Otherwise, just solve it like you normally would, use order of operations, and you'll be fine. That explains this worksheet. I want you to work on this one right now, and then I'll pause us in like 5 minutes and then explain what you're supposed to be doing on Monday. Okay? Let's take a look at 4.6. This is what you're doing at on your stay-at-home day. Okay? It says identify the domain and range. Okay, so I need to list my domain and I need to list my range. Last year, those of you who had my class at least, I know you guys enjoyed doing this part. Remember, domain is your input, your X's. So on 3.6, which one's your X? The 3, right? Yep, so 3. And then on the 5.7, what is it? 5. And then on this one, 7. And this one, 8. Okay, those are my domains. Just list them. My ranges are what? 6. My Y values, 7, 7, 9. I'm not going to make you actually draw a mapping diagram, but I do want you to tell me if it's a function or not. So remember, can't have 2 of the same X's. So just look at your X's. 3, 5, 7, 8. Did I say anything twice? No, so I'm good to go. So this is a function.
Does the range like even matter?
No, not when you're determining if it's a function or not. Range does not matter when you're determining if it's a function. Yeah, this should be really quick and easy for you on number 1 through 4. 5 and 6, vertical line test again. Okay, just did that on your other worksheet. 7 and 8, please don't skip them just because they're word problems. It's probably the 2 easiest word problems you'll ever have all year long, okay? They're actually very, very easy. It's literally asking you how many words you can type in 9 minutes and they give you the equation. So you're just plugging it in. Okay, 9 through 12 is very similar to your other worksheet, plugging in those values. Plug in the -2, then the -1, then the 0, and then the 1, and then the 2. So you should have 5 answers for that one. Okay, 13 and 14 we're going to do together. It says, we're not graphing, but we're going to find a reasonable domain and range. Domain, range. Okay, it says a high school is having a pancake breakfast fundraiser. They have 3 packages of this pancake mix and they each can feed 90 people. So each package can feed 90 people. Then it gives you the function, which we just talked about. So I need to find a reasonable domain and a reasonable range. What are my 2 variables in this word problem? What are the 2 things we're talking about? Say again? What are the 2 things? I can't. Like people, right? And pancakes. Yeah, okay. So now we have to decide which one's going into our function, which one's coming out, okay? Are people going in and pancakes coming out, or is the pancake mix coming in to see how many people we can feed?
Probably the second.
Yeah, probably the second one. That makes a little bit more sense, right? So pancake mix is our domain. Okay. When we put in our pancake mix, then we can decide how many people we can serve, right? So people is going to be our range. How many packages of this pancake mix do we have? 3, right? So I could make 0 of the mixes all the way up to 3. So 0 to 3 seems like a reasonable domain, right? I could use none of my packages and serve nobody, or I could use all 3, right? Okay, so the amount of people I could serve, I could choose to not serve anybody in this pancake mix, so 0. It wouldn't make sense to have negative, right? Negative people doesn't make sense. Okay, all the way up to what? Is it 90? It's 90 per package.
270.
270, because we have 3 packages that can serve 90 people each. So 90 times 3 is that 270. Good. That's it. That's a reasonable domain and reasonable range. Okay, 14, domain and range. Chartered boat travels at a maximum rate of 25 miles per hour. Right there, it's telling you the two variables. What are my two variables? Miles per hour, miles and hours. Yep. So my, do I put in miles to get out hours, or do I put in hours to see how many miles I go? Yeah, the second one. So I'm going to put in my hours, or my time is domain, and my range is my miles. Okay. Now it says it goes 25 miles per hour, right? And it says the charter boat travels a maximum distance of 75 miles. So they're kind of being tricky there. They're not telling you how many hours. You have to figure that out. Well, I could go 0 hours to not go any miles on this boat, right? I don't have to get on the boat. Okay. Or up to what? 3, right? Yeah, because you go 25 miles per hour to 75. That would be up to 3 hours. Good job. Okay, so my range would be 0 to how many miles? 75. Yep, they gave it to us on that one. Good. And then you just have 2 more questions at the end there. So 4, 6 is what you're doing on your stay-at-home day. The other one is what you're assigned today. Okay, we'll correct both of them when I see you again. Make sense? Okay.